Quote the hold steady, everyone's a critic and most people are DJs. I'm not a music expert. Hell, I can't even play an instrument or carry a tune. My name's Craig. I'm just a middle-aged guy in the burbs that likes to listen to good music and talk about it. That's what I try to do here. I hope you enjoy. Hey, it's Craig. I haven't done one of these since February last year, so it's been a long time. But it's the end of 2023, just the day after Christmas. Figured I'd do a wrap-up of the year of the live shows I saw. Hopefully everybody's doing well and gotten out there and seen a bunch of shows. But let's jump into it. Overview of this year, it was a great year. I saw the most shows I've ever seen. 107 shows this year. 245 different artists in 38 venues. So just a freaking great year. I was so pleased to get out there and see so much music. And I'm taking road trips to New York, Boston, Chicago, Philly, Milwaukee, and Toronto. Didn't repeat last year where I got 2 trips to Ireland, but still, that's a pretty good year. So with that many shows, it was really hard to narrow it down to the top 10 shows. But let's go ahead and jump into that. At number 10, and there was a couple of that were right on the bubble, but number 10 was the National with Patti Smith at Madison Square Garden in August. It was the first time, I couldn't believe it, the first time they'd ever headlined. Great new album out. It was really a good show. Here's some highlights from that.
I'm grounded. Davy says that I look tall. I can't get my head around it. I keep feeling smaller and smaller. I need my girl. I need my girl.
Coming in at number 9 was a band that I saw for the second time. First saw them open for Mannequin Pussy, but they came to probably my favorite venue, a place called No Fun over in Troy. That's only been open a couple of years, but I saw a ton of shows there, and they do a tremendous job. But Pinkshift in April at No Fun, and just so much energy from this Baltimore band. Check them out. Coming in at number 8 is the Mary Wallopers, which is an Irish band that mixes trad with a little bit of punk energy. And really, I'd say they're like, the only thing I compare them to, and R.I.P. Shane MacGowan, who we just recently lost, is the Pogues. And what was really great about this show, I'd been wanting to see them. I was actually in New York City with my daughter for Comic-Con, getting our nerd on, and I saw that they were playing. So my daughter and I actually went and checked out this show at Irving Plaza in October, and it was just great energy, or as they would say, great crack. Take a look at some of this. Lucky number 7 was at Lark Hall, another nice venue here in the Albany area, is Bully. I was huge into Alicia's stuff at the beginning of COVID. Sugar Egg blew me away, so I was glad to finally get the chance to see her live, and she did not disappoint. Just an absolutely tremendous show in September at Lark Hall. Number 6 was a band that I actually saw 3 times this year. Another band that I got into right at the start of COVID in 2020. And they were actually one of the first shows that I had canceled during COVID. And that's another Irish band called the Murder Capital. They're phenomenal. I went down to Philly to see them, saw them here locally in Albany. And then I actually went out to Syracuse to see them do an in-store. I don't know that the Albany show was the best live show, just because I was sad that it actually didn't have the attendance it deserved. But that said, I got to hang out with the band as part of an EQX thing, and we did a walking tour of Albany, just kind of went around and checked it out and hung with the band and stuff like that. So in total, that's why I picked this as number 6. So glad I finally got to see those guys. They're so fucking good. Coming in at number 5, another Irish band, and one of my absolute favorites, Fomtaines DC. Got to see them again this year. They actually spent a bulk of the year opening for Arctic Monkeys all over the world. I did not see them open for Arctic Monkeys here. Things just fell through that. But I did go out and catch 2 of their headlining shows, one in Chicago at the Metro, and my number 5 show of the year was their show at the Rave in Milwaukee. It was so freaking hot. And the other interesting thing is the first Republican primary debate was there, so it was kind of weird seeing all these MAGAs around. But it was a great show, met with a bunch of great other fans and stuff like that. It was amazing. And also Ben Stiller, who I love, was the opener, so I got a chance to see them. So check out some of the highlights from that show, including Ben Stiller. Coming in at number 4 is another band that was on my top list for last year, and saw them a couple of times, actually 3 times this year, the Bobby Lees out of Woodstock. And just an amazing show that they did at Colony. They did one at No Fun that was amazing, but I'm picking the second night of a 2-night run they did in Woodstock as my number 4, because one of the interesting things that happened is they basically said, hey, we're calling it quits. We can't make any money. And so at this show, their second night there, and it was supposed to be their last hurrah, Jason Momoa, Khal Drogo, Aquaman, showed up at the show, and turns out he's a huge fan, and he actually is pitching to have them continue, so hopefully they still will. But it was a great show too, but just that made it that much more memorable to be like, that's freaking Jason Momoa. So check out some of both their performance and Jason Momoa.
I'm gonna be a star. You couldn't find me with my eyes like diamonds. They say I'm gonna go far.
Acting like the biggest geek, and I love this band, so please, the Bobby Lees are not fucking dying, man.
I tell you, all these picks were hard to narrow down. Like I said, saw 107 shows on a lot of them, and I really agonized over what was going to make the top 10. But the top 3 or 4 was even harder. I'm a huge Foo Fighters fan, and they actually came back after losing Taylor Hawkins, and I got to see them for the first time since that tragedy happened in Boston at Boston Calling. Ironically, that is actually where I was seeing Yard Act when I found out about Taylor Hawkins passing away. But what was amazing about this show was they actually had Shane Hawkins, Taylor's son, come out and play on the drums for a song. There wasn't a dry eye on the place. It was just so impactful. It was hard not to put this number 1, but you'll see you'll see just how good a show this was, and this just tells you what how many good shows I saw this year. But check out Shane Hawkins on the kit for the Foo Fighters. It's really their first show, big show back.
He just told me, hey, say something. I gotta fix the snare. So anyway, how's it going there, Shane? Oh my God, there is a curfew, Shane. What are we doing? This is an old song from our first record, and when we play it,
coming in at number 2, another one of my favorite bands. One that I actually flew to Ireland to see 3 times last year, and they actually came to me this time. They had their U.S. debut as a headliner down in Brooklyn in November, and that's Sprints. Freaking love these guys. It was hard to pick between this and what I ended up putting at number 1. But this show at Baby's All Right, they just freaking wowed the crowd, which I was so thrilled. Buddy of mine that I convinced to go had texted me afterwards. He's like, I can't get these guys out of my head. They're getting a ton of airtime here on the local EQX station. So I'm thrilled for them, and what a freaking show this was. I'm actually flying to Paris in February to see this band and the band that ended up at number 1. But check out some highlights from Sprint show in Brooklyn where they just freaking blew away the crowd.
I push myself off the edge. There is no good. There's just bad work. Stop the bitch and category. Happy longer as you wanna go. Tell me the place 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 you wanna go.
Okay, my top show of the year is another band that I absolutely love. I actually discovered these guys through Sprints because they both started off on the same label, Nice One. And the first one of these things, Craig Talks Music, that I ever did, I actually talked about these guys. So here's a bit of a throwback to a couple of years ago when they first came on my radar. They came on my radar really because of my love for Sprints, the Irish band that I've been listening to lately. And just this past week, Nice One was pushing one of their other label roster, English Teacher. It just came out with a song called R&B. And I was like, these guys are good. It's a quartet out of Leeds, UK. So, English Teacher, just freaking love them. I'd been dying to see them, had not gotten a chance. They were supposed to play last year in New York at a festival and ended up having to cancel. So they, along with Sprints, actually just 3 days later, they ended up doing their first ever U.S. headlining show, also in Brooklyn at Elsewhere. So I went down, got a chance to meet the band. They were lovely, very, very gracious with this middle-aged fanboy, and put on a hell of a show. So, and they're starting to take off. Just saw them, they got named like number 9 song of the year for NME. They got listed in the New York Times. So there's a ton of hype going on about both them and Sprints. And like I mentioned, they announced a co-headlining show, co-headlining tour in Europe in February. So I'm like, you know what? I got a buddy in Paris. I'm going to go freaking catch that show. They're like, you're fucking mad. But I'm mad about this band. Check out some of their show in Brooklyn. wraps up my top 10 shows of 2023. Like I said, I saw over 100 shows, so I was really lucky, and it was hard to pick these top 10. I hope you got to see a lot of live music and that you're getting to listen to some great music. Let me know what you're listening to, and hopefully I will see you at a show soon. Happy holidays and Happy New Year. I've got a Spotify playlist with all this music. You can check the link in the description.